for Scarborough Centre.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is a pleasure to rise in the House today to speak about Budget 2017. It's a continuation of the plan that we ran on in the last election and began to enact with last year's budget, a plan to build a strong foundation for economic growth and prosperity that will ensure all Canadians can share in our success. I know that we like to talk a lot on this side of the House about the middle class and those working hard to reach it, and that's important. I have many middle-class families in my riding that need just a little help making ends meet. They have to choose between investing in their children's education and saving for retirement. We have put many initiatives in place to help them, from a strengthened Canada pension plan and the middle-class tax cut to the Canada Child Benefit and increased student assistance. This is all important, but today I would like to talk about helping those families for whom the middle class seems out of reach, no matter how hard they work to reach it. For the low-income Canadians that need to choose between paying the rent to keep a roof over their heads and buying groceries to put food on the table. For whom the high cost of childcare prevents both parents from participating in the workforce and bringing an important second paycheck home. We have many of these families in my riding of Scarborough Centre, and I'm here to speak for them. I heard their stories during the campaign, and I continue to hear their stories when I meet my constituents at coffee shops, at town halls, and on their doorsteps. One of the first things we did to help them was to introduce the Canada Child Benefit by making it tax-free and targeted to those families that need the most. Families with less than $30,000 in net income receive the maximum benefit of $6,400 per child under the age of 6 and $5,400 per child for those aged 6 through 17. This initiative alone has lifted more than 300,000 children out of poverty and is making a real difference for low-income families. We also addressed seniors living in poverty by increasing the guaranteed income supplement top-up benefit for single seniors to up to $947 annually, improving the financial security of about 900,000 single seniors across Canada. Those are just a few of the measures from last year's budget, and I'm pleased to see more strong action to help low-income Canadians in Budget 2017. For me, the signature item in Budget 2017 is the investment in housing. For too long, the federal government has been on the sidelines when it comes to housing in Canada. We have not been at the table when provinces, municipalities, and affordable housing providers have been trying to tackle this critical issue. After a decade of absence, the cry for federal leadership is finally being answered by this government. In Scarborough, housing is a pressing issue. Affordable housing is the bridge to improved prosperity for low-income families. Housing is a public health issue, it's a public safety issue, and it is an economic issue. Having a safe, clean, and affordable place to live allows a child to fully participate and succeed in school. It allows their parents to go to work, not having to worry about keeping a roof over their heads, or having to make difficult choices between rent and groceries. Unfortunately, housing is increasingly precarious for too many families. The stock of affordable housing is increasingly limited and in poor shape. Developers are building unaffordable condos and even converting the rental buildings to condos, instead of investing in a new rental stock. An existing rental stock is often in poor shape and is being priced out of reach for many families in Scarborough. This forces them to live in unclean, unsafe, and often overcrowded environments. It forces them to make difficult choices no family should have to make. That's why I'm excited for the new National Housing Strategy. that will be coming from the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. And with the 11.2 billion investment proposed in Budget 2017 to help build, renew and repair Canada's stock of affordable housing. With stable and predictable funding over the next decade, the government will work in partnership with the provinces and territories to help ensure that Canadians have affordable housing that meets their needs. This will include a new $5 billion National Housing Fund to address critical housing issues and better support the vulnerable citizens. Renewed and expanded federal investments to combat and prevent homelessness. More federal lands for the development of affordable housing and expanded funding to strengthen CMHC's housing research activities. We will work with the provinces to support priorities that include the construction of new affordable housing units, the renovation and repair of existing housing, rent subsidies, and other measures to make housing more affordable, and initiatives to support safe, independent living for our seniors, persons with disabilities, and other individuals requiring accessibility modifications. With the new National Housing Fund, there will be a co-investment fund to help pool resources from other housing partners, direct lending to municipalities and housing partners for the repair and renewal of housing units, as well as the construction of new affordable housing units, and support to help social housing providers maintain rent-geared to income units when long-term operating agreements expire. Mr. Speaker, this is a much-needed renewal of federal leadership in the housing space and will make a real difference over the years to come to lower-income families in Scarborough and across Canada that face a precarious housing situation and struggle to find an affordable place to live. Another highlight for Budget 2017 is the substantial and substantive investments in early learning and childcare. When I speak to Scarborough families, they tell me that next to affordable housing, their biggest challenge and their biggest concern is access to affordable, quality childcare. For lower-income families, the high cost of childcare means one parent is forced to stay home instead of entering the workforce and bringing a much-needed second paycheck into the household. This is another area where federal leadership has been sorely lacking over the last decade. Create a tax credit and walk-away approach of the last government did nothing to encourage the creation of more affordable childcare spaces and is a drop in the bucket compared to the costs families are facing right now. Like affordable housing, early learning and childcare is also an economic issue. With access to affordable childcare, both parents can choose to participate in the workforce, and a child with access to early learning support will be better positioned to succeed in school and in the life. Last year's budget made an initial investment this year in early learning and childcare of $500 million, and I am pleased to see that Budget 2017 builds on this commitment by investing an additional $7 billion over 10 years to support and create more high-quality, affordable childcare spaces in Scarborough and across Canada. Over the last 3 years, we hope this investment can increase the number of affordable childcare spaces for low and modest income families by supporting up to 40,000 new subsidized childcare spaces, as well as made it more affordable for parents to return to work. Real action here, though, will require a collaborative approach, and it will require a long-term plan. That's why I am pleased the government is working with the provinces and territories to develop a national framework on early learning and childcare, focusing on best practices and new approaches to best serve the families. Madam Speaker, there are many more items in this budget that will make a difference to lower-income Canadian families. But I feel these substantive and long-term investments in housing and in early learning and childcare will make a meaningful and lasting difference for Canadian families strengthening to make their ends meet. That's why I'm pleased to support this budget and invite my colleagues to join me in supporting this as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Comments, questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Elgin.